So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also for them. This is the golden rule. It comes from the book of Matthew in the Bible. Hi, my name is Zelpha Pierce, and I want to talk to you, I want to teach you the abstract core concept of ethics. The golden rule is not only used by Christians, but used by nearly all secular cultures around the world to some degree. I would like to know if you agree or disagree with the golden rule and why. Sometimes it is difficult to discern between what you should do and what the right thing to do is. Go ahead and please press pause and write down what you feel about the golden rule, if you agree or disagree with it. Okay, so through this video, my goal is for you to gain a better understanding of ethics and how to incorporate it into your daily life. The objective for this learning activity, for this video, is you will achieve this goal by establishing your own code of ethics in writing after watching this video, using 3 of the 5 general principles outlined by the American Psychological Association's Ethics Code. I'm going to describe to you 5 general ethical principles and provide examples of each. Following each principle and example, I want you to press the pause button and take a moment to think about what you have just learned and write it down. I want you to write down your own example that is related to the principle that I just described. Once you've covered all 5 principles, you will then write down your own personal code of ethics based on at least 3 of the 5 principles. So I'd like to give you a definition of ethics. What is it exactly? Well, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, ethics is the discipline dealing with what is good and bad, with moral duty and obligation. The American Psychological Association came up with 5 general principles for us to aspire to live up to. These principles represent the highest code of ethics. It's helpful to have an established guide of what you feel is right and wrong to help guide you through difficult situations. So the first general principle is beneficence and non-maleficence. Those are really big words, right? And I wasn't entirely sure what those meant, so I had to do a little research on that. What I found out is that beneficence is something done for the benefit of others or to improve a situation. Maleficence simply means do no harm. Following this principle perfectly is nearly impossible, as there are many situations where good is done for the good of others, but there are still risks involved where people may get hurt or something may happen negative for that person. For example, taking a medicine that makes you feel better but has negative side effects. That's where conflict can come in. Here's an example of an ethical dilemma related to this principle. You have a loved one that's been diagnosed with cancer, and without treatment, she would die. The treatment, though, is medicine that's toxic for the body, and it makes your loved one feel terribly ill every single day. Your loved one begs to not have to go through this anymore. Is it right to have your loved one keep going through this and doing this? That's a really hard question to answer. I don't have the answer. So what I would like for you to do is at this time, press pause. I want you to think about situations related to the principle that I just discussed with you. I would like for you to write down an example of your own of where this principle shows up in real life. The next principle is fidelity. This principle relates to living to be helpful and taking on the responsibility of making sure that others are not harming others. Here's an example of an ethical dilemma related to fidelity and responsibility. On your daily walk, you happen to see trash on the ground. Do you pick it up, or you just keep on walking because it's not your trash? You didn't do it. Take it even further. On your daily walk, you walk by a store and you see one of the employees throwing trash on the ground. Back to the question, do you pick it up? Okay, well, are you ethically responsible to report that person to the manager? Some people would say, that is not my business, I'm not getting involved. Here's another dilemma, ethical dilemma. You don't want to get that person fired, because then that would do harm for him. There is never a right or wrong answer, but it's good to understand these ethics and principles and decide what is right for you so that you have a guide for decision making. The next general principle is integrity. Simply be honest at all times. You should not lie, cheat, or steal, or commit fraud. Here is an example of an ethical dilemma related to integrity. You have a Spanish test to take that you did not adequately prepare for. You sit down at the desk to take your Spanish test, look down, and you see that someone has written down the answers on your desk. Probably whoever had that class before you that day. Are you like, great, I'm going to use these to get a better score on my test? Or do you erase them prior to starting on the test? I don't know what you would do, but I want you to reflect on it and push pause and think of other situations related to this, please. The fourth principle is justice. In layman's terms, this means providing individuals with what they deserve. Justice is related to fairness, and Aristotle defines it as individuals should be treated the same unless there is a relevant reason or a relevant way that they are different. For example, skin color is not a relevant reason to treat someone differently. Social status is not a relevant reason to treat someone differently. So here's an example. Your aunt loaned you $20 over a month ago. She's not mentioned it and has probably forgotten about it. She's probably forgotten that you owe her the money. You recently received a bonus from work. Do you go ahead and repay your aunt, even though she's probably forgotten about it? Probably so, but I want you to push pause and reflect on this and think about what you would do. The last principle is respect for people's rights and dignity. This means to respect others, respect the privacy of others, and to not humiliate others. An example of this principle would be if you see an elderly person walking down the street. That's not unusual. Perhaps this person isn't wearing any clothing. Do you stand there and laugh at him? Do you take pictures and post them on Facebook? Lots of people would. Probably record it on video. It's funny. No, it's not really funny. Would you find something to cover this person up with? Maybe call to get help for him or guide him home? What would you do? Go ahead and push pause. I want you to think about this and write down your own example, please. These 5 principles touch several facets of our lives. I want to know which ones you feel the most passionate about. Please use these principles and the ones you feel the most passionate about to develop your own personal standards, your own personal code of ethics. Use at least 3 of the 5 and give details why and how each of these would apply in your own daily life. I hope that you keep your personal code of ethics close to you for all the rest of your days as a reminder of what is important to you and also as a compass to guide you through difficult situations and difficult decisions.